In a world where honor is bought, dreams are crushed, and the ring is no longer sacred, one man rises from the ashes of betrayal to fight not just for victory, but for justice. Get ready for betrayal, love, redemption, and an unforgettable showdown that shook the nation. The movie starts in a bustling city, where the air crackled with excitement for a grand martial arts ceremony. Fighters from every corner of the country arrived, eager to display their skills. Among them was Se Kyung, a Chinese martial arts master who dazzled the crowd with his flashy moves, effortlessly blending Tai Kun, Wushu, and Western boxing. The energy was electric, but beneath the surface, it was all a cleverly staged act by a kung fu organization looking to recruit new students. Suddenly, a snag in their well-orchestrated performance. One of their key performers was a no-show. Xiao Yan, the young woman leading the group, was clearly struggling to keep the facade from crumbling. Meanwhile, three friends, seasoned lion dancers down on their luck, watched from the sidelines. An idea sparked in their minds, a chance to make some quick cash. They rushed backstage and offered their services to Xiao Yan, promising they could handle the missing act for a price. Desperate, she agreed. One of the friends, Mong, was quickly prepped and pushed onto the stage. The kung fu master, completely unaware that Mong wasn't part of the show, launched into a fierce display. Mong, trying to de-escalate, attempted a traditional Chinese kung fu intro, but the situation spiraled into chaos as he got caught in the master's powerful grip. With a unique technique called the match cup, the master impressively ended the performance, earning thunderous applause and praise. Master Kyung became an instant fan favorite, and the organization wasted no time marketing their talented new recruit. But their triumph was short-lived. A famous boxer, Chen Yen, suddenly called out from the crowd, scoffing at the performance as fake and challenging Master Kyung to a real fight. Swallowing his pride, Master Kyung accepted. However, once the fight began, Master Kyung's weaknesses became apparent. He quickly went downhill. After a series of brutal hits, his vision blurred, and Chen Yen knocked him out with his signature move. The crowd gasped. Master Kyung was humiliated, and the organization that hired them was deeply ashamed. To add insult to injury, Mong and his two friends didn't even get paid. When they approached Xiao Yan, she explained that the organization couldn't pay them right then and promised to settle up later, providing them with an address and phone number. Mong and his friends were disheartened. They had come to the city hoping to make a living, but now they were at rock bottom. That night, they returned to their rented room, cooked instant noodles, and tried to rest, still clinging to a sliver of hope that things would improve. Mong, particularly driven, worked tirelessly at a construction site. His father was sick and uninsured, making him desperate to earn enough for treatment. But when he returned to the dormitory, he found his two friends had been caught sneaking in without paying rent. The owner kicked them out, telling them to find somewhere else to stay. Mong begged to be allowed to stay, but the overcrowded building offered no mercy. To make matters worse, the construction manager fired them for stealing tools. Now they were jobless, homeless, and their transportation was gone too. Despite these crushing setbacks, Mong refused to give up. Determined to find a way to survive, he wandered aimlessly until he stumbled upon a small martial arts school, Xiao Yan's. He walked in, intending to collect his payment, but instead witnessed Xiao Yan being harassed by students from a rival school, Bazin. They were trying to force her to sell her school's training space. When Xiao Yan refused, their harassment intensified. Mong couldn't stand by. He tried to call the police but was caught. The bullies dragged him into the fight, throwing him down and relentlessly punching and kicking him. When his patience ran out, Mong snapped. He unleashed a lion claw technique he'd learned, defending himself with surprising ferocity. One by one, the bullies were injured and fled. Once the chaos subsided, Mong's immediate concern was his phone, which his parents used to contact him. When he found it safe, he broke down in relief. Xiao Yan approached him, apologizing for the damage that had been done. Later, she paid him the money he was owed. Then, she showed him a boxing tournament poster and asked if he'd consider entering the competition. Mong declined, saying he didn't know how to fight. Xiao Yan offered him food, tempting him with the possibility of earning at least 100 yuan if he competed. Mong was hesitant and left, but after some thought, he returned, asking about the potential earnings. He admitted he was only doing it to get medicine for his sick father. Xiao Yan reassured him, promising to provide training. She introduced him to the same kung fu teacher who had fought on stage earlier. The teacher jokingly remarked, "So you're not just acting as a fake fighter, now you want to be a real one, huh?" But Xiao Yan countered that Mong had talent and challenged him to a fight. The master playfully sparred with Mong, who tried to attack, but the teacher's experience shone through. He quickly put Mong in his place, telling him that martial arts was about more than flashy moves. It was about patience, timing, and heart. Meanwhile, the bullies reappeared with their boss, Qian Yan, the boxer who had previously humiliated Master Kyung. Qian Yan was attempting to buy the school for a pittance. Seeing Mong training, they tried to stir up more trouble. But the teacher handled the situation with quiet strength, announcing that Mong would compete against Qian Yan in the tournament. At that moment, a court letter arrived. The school was in danger, they owed money, and if it wasn't paid soon, it would be seized and sold at auction. Qian Yan then gloated, "I already offered to buy the place. If you go to court, the school could be auctioned off for even less." But Xiao Yan refused to give in. She decided to temporarily close the school and focus on finishing the training course. The teacher agreed to cover their food and lodging. Xiao Yan made a deal. If they won the competition, they would split the prize money. She'd take 80% for the school, the teacher 10%, and Mong and his friends would keep the rest. The teacher even opened his home to them, and they moved in. Since Teacher Kyung's house wasn't fully built and neither he nor Xiao Yan had much money for food, they all ended up living together in an empty yard nearby. It wasn't ideal, but they made do with what they had. What they didn't know was that the martial arts school actually belonged to Xiao Yan's father. She had given up a chance to go abroad just to stay and build up the school, hoping to one day carry on her father's legacy. Her father was not only close friends with Teacher Kyung but also Kyung's uncle. That's why Kyung had taken Xiao Yan under his care like family. The next day, Teacher Kyung proposed another way to earn money, selling noodles. He shared a little secret. He used to run a noodle shop on the side. It wasn't a bad idea, but there was one problem. Kyung's eyesight was pretty weak, causing him to make many mistakes when preparing food, so no one would buy noodles from him. But with help, perhaps they could make it work. The next morning, Kyung also began to train Mong seriously. First, he worked on Mong's endurance, making him lift heavy loads and do physical labor to build strength. Then came more refined lessons, how to stay focused during an attack, how to strike fast and accurately, and how to maintain balance in a fight. Meanwhile, things weren't going well at the shop where they used to work. The business was sinking, and Mong had to figure out another way to survive. One day, he tried his hand at noodle making using his own ingredients. Surprisingly, customers loved it, especially the way he used only his right hand. His noodle skills, mixed with his martial arts precision, became a hit. The business picked up. Customers kept coming back, and even the noodles became popular on their own. Seeing this, Teacher Kyung handed over the noodle shop responsibilities to Mong and his friends. Over time, the group began to feel like a real family. They worked together, trained together, and supported one another. One night, while looking at old childhood photos, Xiao Yan found herself growing fond of Mong. His dedication and humble spirit touched her heart. Inspired by that, Mong trained even harder, and soon, his body began to transform. He was stronger, faster, and more focused than ever before. Then, word started to spread about a big boxing event being held by a man named Kyun Chu Yen. He ran a boxing gym that produced young champions. During an interview, Kyun Chu Yen explained that if a fighter impressed him, they could join his boxing club permanently and for free. Mong, curious, asked Xiao Yan who that man was. She told him that Kyun Chu Yen was actually the owner of the very boxing gym that had challenged her school in the past. The person trying to take over their school was a man named Jin Mu Yen, someone who had long been eyeing their space. The night before the big competition, Mong couldn't sleep. Anxious and restless, he stepped outside. To his surprise, Xiao Yan joined him. They walked together under the night sky, talking about dreams and fears. She gave him a small snack and told him that anything is possible if you don't give up. Her words calmed him. When competition day finally arrived, the format was simple but tough. The fighters were divided into groups. Half would be eliminated early, while the others would advance based on a point system. As the matches began, things got off to a rocky start. The team hadn't prepared any music for their intro, so they had to use a traditional song that was typically sung by wrestlers. When their group entered with that tune, the crowd laughed at them. Some even made fun of traditional martial arts, calling them outdated. The first to fight was a newcomer from Brazil named Sipo. Confident and cocky, he pointed at Mong and declared he'd knock him out in one round. The bell rang and the match began. Sipo landed a solid hit on Mong. While he was celebrating too early, thinking he had won, Mong got back up, angry and ready to fight. Sipo tried again, this time going all in, but his punches started to lose power. 3 minutes passed, and he couldn't finish the match. When the second round began, Sipo again hit Mong harder. Every time, Mong came back to his feet. This repeated resilience shocked the crowd and commentators, even Sipo himself. After a lot of effort, Sipo grew tired, and his energy faded. Now, Mong combined traditional village martial arts with lion dance techniques. His strategy was clever. He blocked his opponent's energy using his legs and shut down every attack thrown at him. His teacher watched and told him, "Use your strength where your opponent is weak." Inspired, Mong began focusing on legwork, mirroring the movements of the strong man he was fighting. He noticed Sipo's leg was injured and used that to his advantage, blocking kicks and landing hits. Eventually, Sipo's injured leg gave out. He couldn't stand properly anymore. Mong then used a move involving stones, tripping the opponent and throwing him off balance. In the end, the opponent couldn't continue, and Mong claimed victory. The crowd cheered, and the score was tallied. After the match, Chu Yen, the host, came forward to present the awards. Just as everyone settled down to watch Chen Yan's match, he stunned the entire crowd by defeating his opponent in just a few quick punches. Teacher Kyung explained that Chen Ren's strength came from powerful strikes. No wasted motion, just raw force. He shared more about his past, revealing that he and Xiao Yan's father had once opened a martial arts school together. Her father was a respected nighttime martial arts master who taught many young students. But things had changed. One day, Chen Yan came forward, mocking traditional martial arts and calling them useless. He challenged masters from all schools to fight him, and defeated them one after another, including Xiao Yan's father. The youth started believing that boxing was the superior style. News outlets began covering these fights, adding fuel to the fire. Teacher Kyung wanted to prove them wrong. He challenged Chen Yan, but during the fight he was knocked out with a hard punch. The blow left him with nerve damage and partial blindness. That's when Teacher Kyung truly understood that the old ways needed to evolve. He studied martial arts deeply, comparing Eastern and Western styles. He realized that Lethwei, Burmese bare-knuckle boxing, was itself born from traditional techniques. The teacher had come up with a unique and advanced method, one that mixed their traditional martial arts with modern Lethwei techniques. It was something fresh, something bold, but not everyone approved. Many older masters turned their backs on this hybrid idea, calling it a betrayal of tradition. Still, the teacher stood firm. He believed learning from each other made them stronger, not weaker. So he encouraged his students to move forward with confidence. He handed over a book he had written himself. Inside were detailed instructions and philosophies about martial arts, along with new techniques tailored to their roots. He told them, "We've come too far to look back now. We must honor the old but also step into the new." So Mong began training harder than ever, sharpening his moves and increasing his stamina. One by one, Mong achieved victory in the tournament. As word spread of Mong's victories, especially the lion's paw move, the media started paying attention. Interviews poured in, and spectators grew curious. But there was someone even more famous on the horizon. A new champion named R.A. San was undefeated. That's when the teacher, Kyung, gathered everyone and said, "Don't waste time studying R.A. San's opponents. Study him directly. If you want to be the best, you have to beat the best." So the mission became clear. Defeat R.A. San and prove to the world that their path had value. Meanwhile, Xiao Yan was also searching for financial support. She approached businesspeople who might invest as a sponsor of Mong. On another front, Kyung went to seek wisdom from the teacher's old friends. But they one by one all wanted to relive the past and didn't agree to learn Mong. Then came a surprise. Someone sent an offer to Xiao Yan to be their sponsor. Excited, Xiao Yan and Mong went to meet the unknown businessman. But they were shocked when they realized he was actually Chu Yen, who was responsible for her school's closure. Now Chu Yen asked her to sell the school to him for a large amount of money. And he also wanted Mong to fight with his sponsor. He even insisted he would register Mong as his student. Xiao Yen, absolutely furious, declined the offer flat out. She stormed off with Mong, and they spent the rest of the day talking, desperately trying to find a way out of this mess. To cool off, Xiao Yen brought Mong to a park, and their anger slowly melted into laughter. With newfound energy, they entered more matches and started winning. Mong's scores improved, and now, everyone had their eyes on this upcoming showdown. But trouble wasn't over. Xiao Yan's school was still closed due to financial problems, and newspapers covered the whole ordeal. The only hope left was to win the competition and use the prize money to buy back the school. The pressure was immense. The day of the big fight arrived. This time, Mong had to face R.A. the most famous and undefeated champion. Mong, nervous and tense, Kyung told him, R.A. is older now, but he's strong. He won't last long, just hang in there. The fight started, and Mong tried his best, but his familiar moves had been used too often. R.A. already knew his style. R.A. was incredibly strong and began to beat him relentlessly. R.A.'s true strength wasn't just his fists, it was his ability to wear his opponents down emotionally. He made them feel powerless, dragging them into frustration. That's exactly what he did to Mong in the first round. To make matters worse, the referee was also corrupt. After the time was up, he took an agonizingly long time to respond, making the whole situation blatantly unfair. The teacher protested, but he was given a yellow card. The second round began. R.A. started beating Mong brutally. Mong barely defended himself against the crushing blows and kicks. Then, R.A. broke the rules. He used ground attacks that weren't allowed and hurt Mong badly. Kyung, furious, complained, but this time the authority gave him a red card, and helpless, he had to leave the stage. There was no coach to support Mong now, just raw determination. Kyung watched it all from a TV in another room. He clenched his fists and made a silent vow, I'll train him to fight till the end. But the problem was that R.A. knew every weak point in his opponent's body. He could predict every move. If Mong followed the usual tactics, he'd lose, plain and simple. So he had to change the game. Now, without a coach, Mong felt weak. R.A. was hitting him with every fancy move he had. This round also finished. Then Xiao Yen informed Mong that the referee had also been corrupted by Chu Yen. Mong understood everything and became enraged. The next round started, and this time, Mong changed his fighting style, making it incredibly hard for R.A. to read. But R.A. adapted and continued to hit him brutally. R.A. and everyone else were shocked to see how Mong stood up again and again. At last, R.A. aimed for a knockout, but Mong unleashed his secret weapon, the half card. He shifted his weight to the right and struck with practiced precision. R.A. saw it coming, but he didn't expect what came next. Mong pivoted his supporting leg and launched a fierce kick across R.A.'s face. Time seemed to freeze. R.A. staggered. The entire arena held its breath. That single kick knocked him out cold. Time resumed. The bell rang. Victory. R.A. lay motionless. He couldn't get up. Mong had done it. Because of that one perfect strike, sharp, fast, and unstoppable, he didn't just win the match. He reclaimed their pride, their future. Chu Yen, who had been watching silently, got up and left the arena with disappointment in his eyes. Others cheered and congratulated Mong. After all this, Mong called his parents and told them to come to the city, and also arranged for his dad to be admitted to a hospital. Meanwhile, Kyung reminded him that while he had won this round, the upcoming final match was against Jian Yen, an old master unlike any other. Still, they smiled and celebrated this moment of victory. But that joy didn't last long. Just when things seemed to be getting better, life struck hard again. The large training yard where Mong had been practicing was suddenly bought out. Their only training ground was destroyed. No warnings. No second chances. This wasn't bad luck. It was sabotage. The man behind it all? Chu Yen. He was ready to destroy Mong and his friends' lives just to protect his pride. Then came the worst blow. A humiliating video surfaced online, footage of Mong supposedly beating up his students. It was twisted, edited, and false. Outrage spread like wildfire. Mong's name started to fade from glory into scandal. Within weeks, the final match was cancelled. Qian Yan won without fighting Mong. Just like that, Mong's victories meant nothing. His reputation? Gone. One day, he was attacked so badly that his mother's voice broke through, pleading for him to come home. By then, news of his fall had already spread. His whole family felt the shame. Even the money he was supposed to win was taken back. Xiao Yan's martial arts school was shut down. Eventually, she was forced to leave the country. Heartbroken, she went away to her relatives in another country. Now, Mong also wanted to go back to the village. But just before leaving, something unexpected happened. A reporter who had supported Kyung called an emergency meeting. He had been investigating a photo taken during the match and noticed something off. Opponent Qian Yan had thick gloves, but something strange about them indicated cheating. The photo alone wasn't proof, but they began piecing things together. Kyung remembered how hard those punches were, far beyond normal. He realized Qian had hidden stones inside his gloves. It all made sense now. They couldn't challenge the match officially anymore. It was too late, but Kyung knew what he had to do. Eventually, Chu Yen opened a new branch of his boxing gym. They organized a big ceremony with all the champions. When it started, Mong stepped into the ring. Everyone was shocked. He challenged the champion, Qian Yan, not just to a fight, but as a test of Chinese Kung Fu versus Qian's boxing. At first, Qian couldn't accept the challenge, but after being taunted about boxing, Qian became furious and accepted. Kyung whispered to Mong, "You have one chance to prove him a cheater." Then the final fight began. Mong had come prepared. His goal wasn't just to win, it was to expose the truth. This time, he wasn't just fighting for himself. He was fighting for every poor soul crushed by the system. They began trading blows. Qian Yan's punches were brutal, but Mong had been through worse. With every hit, he tested the gloves, searching for that hidden hardness. Then he understood it. Qian was definitely using stone-filled gloves again. Mong turned to traditional martial wisdom. He used ancient patterns of movement, patterns passed down by masters like the Thousand Dragon style, blocking every attack methodically. Then the chess style, dodging with grace and countering with smooth, unpredictable movement. Finally, he used the closed fist technique, striking Qian's weak points with precision. Punch after punch, Mong targeted Qian's gloves. Normally, gloves can't be broken. But gloves filled with rocks? That's different. He kept hitting until cracks formed. And then, one final strike, crack. The glove shattered. Stones fell out. The crowd gasped. Silence turned into shock. Qian was exposed in front of the whole country. Mong and his friend picked up the stones and held them high. "This is cheating," he said. "This is what he used to win." The audience roared. Qian had been disgraced. Even his sponsors abandoned him. Referees checked his gloves and confirmed it. He had indeed used hidden stones. But Qian wasn't done yet. He took off his gloves and challenged Mong barehanded. With no stones, no tricks, Mong used the closed fist technique once more. Qian couldn't handle it. One punch, then another, then another. Mong hit him so hard that he dropped, unable to stand. The corrupted organizers were exposed. The Martial Arts Federation was forced to admit its mistakes. A wealthy businessman stepped in and offered to sponsor Mong. Finally, after so much hardship, his life began to turn around. Xiao Yan, who had gone abroad, heard the news. She reached out to Mong again. They talked for hours, rebuilding their bond. Eventually, they restarted the martial arts school together, this time named in honor of their old teacher. Mong's family was brought back to the city and given proper medical care. His teacher and old friends stood in the city park together, under the open sky, proud of the journey they had survived. And that's how the movie ends. Mong's story reminds us that true honor isn't bought. It's earned, punch by grueling punch. We saw dreams get crushed, only to be rebuilt with sheer determination, and a sacred ring reclaim its meaning through one man's fight for what's right. What was your favorite moment in Mong's incredible fight for justice? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more epic movie recaps, so you don't miss our next deep dive into the world of film.